My name is Jack Knights. I'm an admissions counselor at Canisius, and I'm also a graduate of Canisius. I graduated in 2017. We are just in a little bit here. We will have Al Pilato, who is the Associate Director of Student Life. Look at that timing right there. Pretty good right there. As Al's connecting to his audio and video right now. Al, how are you? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Yeah, so today we're just going to go through and talk about housing a little bit. Al's going to have a PowerPoint that he's going to be sharing with us, and with that, we'll get it going here. Al, you want to take it away? You want me to pull up your PowerPoint?
Yeah, could you do that, please?
Absolutely. All righty. Here we go. Go ahead, Al.
Okay. All right, great. Well, thanks very much, Jack. As Jack said, my name is Al Pilato. I'm the Associate Director of Student Life, and we're here tonight just to talk a little bit about housing and all things related to that. So how the housing application process works, selecting roommates, and then a little bit about the timeline and what you can expect. So with that said, I'll jump right in, and a couple of things that I just want to point out first about the professional staff. There are 4 of us who make up Student Life, and you can see that there. Matt Mulville is also the Assistant Vice President for Student Affairs, and Mark Piakowski, who is an Associate Director, and he's responsible for the Residence Life staff, the graduate students that work in our office. And then Rich Kennedy is the Assistant Director, and he's in charge of programming and working with the different clubs. He's really responsible for the fun part of life of a resident campus. But the 4 of us, even though we have our own direct focus, we're all committed to making sure the experience for our residents is the best it can be. So you can contact any 4 of us at any time. A little bit about the student staff. We have 4 hall directors, and these are graduate students who are enrolled in the higher education graduate program at the college. So they're very invested in this job they have and in this program because they're training to go out into the field as student affairs professionals. We also have 36 resident assistants who are made up of sophomores right through graduate students. And our entire staff is trained, in current issues of the day, things that affect college students. We have a very intense August training, and then we have follow-up development and training throughout the school year. Our office is on call 24 hours a day, so no matter what day of the year it might be or what time, there's always somebody on call, and we're ready to respond to whatever might be happening on the campus. All right, we can flip to the next one. Thank you.
There we go.
Oh, back one, please. Back one. So
there
let's
you go. Sorry
talk a little about, no problem, Bosch and Frisch Halls. This is where the freshman residential experience begins. All freshmen start here. And these halls are identical in just about every way. So if you stood in the quad and looked to your left and you looked to your right, you would not be able to tell the difference between the 2 halls. They're both 6 floors tall. They both will have about 170 residents. All the floors are shaped like a giant L. The only difference that really exists between the 2 is on the first floors. In Bosch Hall, the first floor is home to our counseling center. So that changes the footprint of the first floor on Bosch compared to Frisch, but that's it. Everything else is the same. There are 2 RAs that live on every floor. I mentioned the hall directors before, so there's 1 of those hall directors in each hall. Our genders are divided by wing, so I mentioned the L shape. So one leg of the L would be female, for example. The other wing would be male. And then in each building, there is a laundry room at the lower level that's coin-free, so students can do all the laundry they desire. There's an app, actually, they can sign up on, and they can see, before they even go down, they can see what washer or dryers might be available, and they can track how long until their loads are done. So each of the halls have the same housing options. There's 4 different options that we'll talk about. All 4 of these can be requested on the application. The first one are the double rooms. There are 7 of these per floor. They're about 11.5 feet wide by 15 feet deep. And you can see by the layout there that, it's a basic room, but with every student gets the same furniture no matter what the configuration. So there's a bed, a desk, a dresser, and a wardrobe unit for each student in the rooms. The second option is something new that we're trying this year for the first time, and that's a single room. And the single room is very much like the double room. If we could just advance one, please. And it's set up the exact same way. In fact, it is a double room, but instead we just have one student in the room. And it's a trend that's actually kind of, sweeping the country, and we haven't tried it out yet, but we are this year. And you can see, it's the same setup. There are 4 of these per floor. So there are 2 male singles and 2 female singles on each floor. The third option is probably our most popular option, and that would be the suites. And what the suites are really are 3 double rooms that are banked together. And the middle room would be the common area that is shared by all 4 people in the suite. And you can see on the left or to the right, it's just a 2-person double, and those people all share the middle room. And that is our most popular option. And the last option is a bathroom suite. Now, these we don't have very many of. There's only one of these per floor, and it's only from floors 2 through 5, so it's 10 total. But these are very popular. And a little story behind this, why do we even have these bathroom suites? Years ago, when the Jesuit priests used to live on every floor, in the corner of the floor, they had an apartment that they lived in. And since then, now we have renovated the halls, and we turned those apartments into these suite styles that match the other suites on the floor, but except for the fact they have an existing bathroom. So you can see the layout's the same, just a little bit different to the right because of the existing bathroom. So how do we decide who gets assigned where? Everybody wants a bathroom suite, or everyone wants a single. So at Canisius, the date of the housing deposit is what drives all of the assignments. So the earlier your deposit, the better your chances of getting your first preference. And when it comes to roommates, so anyone who's in a double or in a suite, it's the average of all the roommates that's used. So we average them together, everything gets ranked earliest to latest, and then the assignments are done in that order. One of the things I do want to mention that also affects, in particular, the bathroom suites is gender ratio. And when I go back to talking about the L shape of the floor, one of those legs of the L, or the wings, is, we call it the long wing, because there are more beds on that side of the L. The other short wing, there are fewer beds, but that is where the bathroom suites reside, on the short wings. So if the incoming class is a majority of females, for example, females are going to end up on most of the long wings to accommodate all the females, which means more males will get a crack at the bathroom suites than females. So I mentioned that just so you know, it's very hard to get those bathroom suites, and that's just another reason why. So you made a deposit early, but somebody else got it because there weren't enough, for males and females.
Al,
So
we have a question that came in, Al.
Sure.
Does it cost more to have a single room or have a suite, or what's sort of the price differences between these rooms?
Yeah, there is, and I don't have the actual price list with me here tonight. But if you go onto the website, it's clearly spelled out there. But it is probably as you would imagine. The singles are the most expensive, then the suites, then the bathroom suites, and the doubles would be the cheapest option. And the actual dollar amounts are on the website.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, guys, and if you have any questions throughout, feel free to hit the question and answer section at the bottom there, and I'll feed the questions in to Al here.
All right, so let's get right to the actual application now. And some of you may have already done this, but maybe there are things about this you don't know that might be helpful. But once you are accepted and you've deposited for housing, when you go to your new student checklist and you see all the boxes of the different things and steps you need to take, there is one dedicated to housing. That link will take you here, which is your housing self-service page. And we're looking at Marsha Brady's right now. And if you look at the top, you'll see a heading that says Forms and Applications. If you click on that, you will see anything that you're eligible to apply for throughout your 4 years. Right now, as a freshman, you can only apply to the freshman housing. So that application is available there. So once you click on that, it will take you to this next page, which is the application itself. And you can see here, there's only 5 questions in the window, but there's actually 20 questions, I believe, on the first page of the application. All but one of those questions are required. So be sure to take your time, answer every single one so you get processed properly. And it's good to be honest in how you fill this out, because this is what's going to help you and help others who are using the search tool to find good roommates. So fill this out, and it's actually 2 pages long. After this page, it actually goes to a housing request, like the type of housing you would like, and you get to put your top 3 choices there. Once you do that, you'll see a message that says your application is now complete, which means you can now come to this page, which is the page that allows you to request roommates. So on this page, it's again just your starting page from your self-service page. Instead of forms and applications, we're bumping over to roommate selection, and then we're going to click on roommates, and it'll take you to this tool right here, which is a powerful search tool. And you can use it in a couple of ways. If you know the person that you would like to live with, all you have to do is punch in their name. If they have deposited for housing, they will appear on your screen and you can select that person as a roommate. If they don't appear, that means they did not deposit yet. So maybe you can urge them to get their deposit in so you can start to work on the roommate matching. But if you don't know who you want, you can use the questions and check off boxes of things that are important to you. And these questions are really just from the application. So as you, for example, I only want to live with somebody who's very clean. If you clicked that box and then hit submit, you're going to bring back every application of your gender that person marked very clean. So you can use that tool in many ways and put as many different types of things as you like in there to find, the ideal roommate. So it's a powerful tool. So what we're going to do in our case, we're going to use the Brady brothers to kind of give an example of how this works. So Bobby Brady and Peter Brady decided to live together, and Bobby just used that search tool and he requested Peter. And so on Peter's end, he goes into his roommate. Oh, can you just go back once, please? There we go. So if Peter goes to his roommate page, and he's going to see this. Oh, I have a pending request from Bobby. So Peter will be able to do a couple of things at this point, a few things. He'll be able to decline it, which is red. He could actually hit the green box, which will be, yes, accept this request. If he didn't know Bobby and he wanted to learn a little bit more about him, he could click on the yellow view box, which would allow him to see the answers to Bobby's application. Or he could just send Bobby an email directly and start a conversation with him. So on Bobby's page, if we go to the next one, this is what Bobby sees. He sees, okay, I've requested Peter, what now? When he checks back here to monitor his request, he's going to see at the bottom left a message. You have an unmatched roommate group. And it tells you exactly what the problem is. Peter hasn't accepted his request yet. So this is how Bobby knows that he's not done yet. So Bobby has a few options at this point. He could decide, you know what, I'm not waiting for Peter anymore. I'm going to ask Greg, and he could remove Peter's request. He could use the green poke button to actually poke Peter and say, hey, can you accept the request so we can get this done? Again, like Peter, he could view Peter's application, or he can send him an email directly. So this page is important for all roommates to monitor their own status of where they are with their roommate requests. Check back here frequently. Once they both accept, which we'll see on the next page, this is what it looks like. Your roommate group is fully matched. So now you know there's nothing more we can do. We just have to wait now for the assignment process to run in June. We're good to go. So that's what everyone's striving for, is to see that right there. A couple of notes that I want to talk about when it comes to roommates. So if we could just go to the next slide here. All desired roommates, they have to be connected or the system won't assign them together. So it doesn't matter if you're applying for a single, but if you're applying for a double or a suite, everybody has to request each other. So if you're a group of 4 friends or teammates that want to live together, if all 4 of you don't go in and make the request and accept the request, the system will not connect you. So use that page to monitor your status and make sure you're all doing what you need to do. Otherwise, it won't work. The second point is you don't have to find your own roommate. You could let the system do the work for you. And that's what will happen after the deadline passes. The system will match up anyone who did not request anybody, or maybe it was two people who wanted to live together in a suite but didn't know two other people. The system will do that by using the application process as its guide. So the higher the percentage matches on the application is how it matches people up, and then it'll create the full matches. A special note here for athletes: the coaches do not take care of housing. In fact, they don't even have access to the system. And I say that for this reason. Sometimes there's confusion because the coaches are recommending or encouraging students to live with the teammates that are coming in. And there's an assumption that, oh, the coaches are taking care of this, and then none of the players do anything and they don't get their roommates. Students are in full control of their housing destiny. So if your coach wants you to live with somebody in particular for the team, make sure you know who that is, and then make sure that all of you are requesting each other, just like I showed, so that you do end up together. The other quick note about that: students are in control also in this way. If you wanted to live with your friend who's not an athlete, but the coach is saying, well, you should live with this person who's on your team, the decision is still up to you. So if you wanted to live with your friend, you could do that. I understand that's tough to do because the coach is encouraging you to do something else, but just know that as a student, you're in full control. You make the decisions and you make your own requests. And then lastly, just a reminder, only students who have deposited for housing appear in the search tool. So if you're looking for somebody again and they're not there, it's because they haven't deposited yet for housing. So make sure you're talking with them so they get deposited. On to the timeline, important dates, things you need to know. The applications can be submitted and changed through June 11th. So you can go back and change anything on it, or you can wait until the 11th to actually apply. It doesn't hurt you in any way. But on the 11th, if you want to be involved in the first round of the assignment process, which will be about 95% of the residents, you need to be in by the 11th, by the end of the day on the 11th. We'll still accept applications and we will still assign people after that, but your ability to have, request people or specific rooms really dwindles because you're just dealing with what's left now after the first round is done. So try to be in by the 11th. Once the 11th passes, we lock everything down, and then from the 15th until the 19th, we go through the matching process and assignment process and make sure everything looks right there. And then on the 23rd, we'll send out all the information. So we'll send it to the Canisius email address. It will include room assignment, roommate assignment information, everything about any activities that might be taking place over the summer, and certainly everything about the fall and the check-in process will all be included at that time. One other note that you don't see on the screen that I want to just impress upon you: when you get the information on the 23rd, if you're not happy for any reason, don't panic. Just reach out to me and then we'll work on whatever that might be. And we go through that every single year, and people think this is it, it's in stone, we can't change anything, and that's not true. We will work with you to try and do our best to make sure that by the time you move in, you're in a situation you feel comfortable about and had hoped for to the best of our ability. So don't panic, just reach out to me. So before I turn it back to Jack for the questions and answer session, I just point out these two pieces of contact info. If you want to get to me after tonight, housing@canisius.edu is the email you can use. It comes directly to me. So I'll respond to you right away and we can work on whatever questions you may have. Or you can certainly call this number. It's the student life number, and they'll get you to me if you call the number. So those are two easy ways to get a hold of me and ask any other questions you might have. So with that said, Jack, I turn it back to you.
All right, we got some questions here for you. So get ready here for a little rapid fire action here.
All right.
So the first question, what's the name of the app and when do people usually do their deposits? For that one, I can answer that one. Right now is a really good time to start depositing. Our deadline for our deposit is May 1st, but that's also a loose deadline. So if you don't have a decision by then, feel free to make your decision after that. we'll be accepting people all the way up through the first week of classes. But yeah, so once you get the deposit, then it will lead into being able uh, to do the housing application. So once you get the deposit, then the housing application and the course selection form will unlock for you on your student portal with your username and password that's on your acceptance letter. Next one, Al, I'll let you take this one. Do you have themed house that allows me to live with other people with common interests?
We do. We have something called the ABEC floor, which is for people who are in the animal behavior major. We also have a science floor, which is for anybody who, it could be any science related major. They can request that. So, and then we have an honors floor, which is anybody who is in the honors program can apply to that, to be a part of that. And on the application too, there's a space there for majors, so you could put that in there, which also will help us identify the different majors.
Great. Another question, just touching off of the honors there. If I'm in the honors college and apply for honors housing, am I guaranteed a spot on that floor?
Well, I will tell you this: the honors floor is made up of, I think it'll be 28 beds when the singles are figured in, I believe, and so it just depends on the demand, and it'll depend again on the female and male ratio. So depending on how that works out, the first 28 people who apply, depending on the gender, will get in on the floor, and then once it's full, then it would be a waitlist situation.
Great, awesome. Next question is, how much is the housing deposit? I can answer that one. It's $400. So that $400 will be worked into the cost for you at the end of the day, but that's $400 to secure your spot in the class for the fall. Next one, Al. Can I change from a commuter to a resident? How do I do that?
Yeah, you certainly could. And I think that by reaching back out to admissions, you're able to change your status if you put the deposit down, and that's really the trigger.
Yep.
It changes your status to resident.
Yeah, do a lot of students end up doing that, switching either from a resident to a commuter or a commuter to a resident?
We have a little bit of change as we get later in August, where some people do jump on board or jump off. But where we really see a lot of activity is during the year. We have something called the Snowbound program, where we give commuters a chance to live in college housing for the winter months to avoid driving. And when we do that, it's 8 out of 10 students end up changing to permanent status of resident.
Great, awesome. This is a question. What should I not bring? What's not allowed in a dorm room?
Yeah, I'll give you a simple answer tonight, but also on the website, there's a link that shows a long list of things not to bring. But basically what it really is, it comes down to safety. So we don't allow people to bring in their own furniture, because everything we supply is fire retardant and rated, in the case of fire, for living in that type of environment. No open coils. We don't allow Christmas lights unless they're battery operated. Extension cords are not allowed. You can bring power strips, but you can't run long extension cords to hook things together. So those are some of the main things. No candles, anything related to safety or fire would be prevented from coming in. So for the complete list, though, it's online, shows you everything.
Great, awesome. Is there a way to contact and get to know your roommates? Yeah, so whenever Al was talking during his presentation here, whenever you request a roommate, a lot of times they'll have like their different social media and things like that. Also, our Facebook page is great to join to meet other people that are coming to Canisius next year and are going to be freshmen. Seeing, just monitoring it, that a lot of people are reaching out with just social media just to get to know people a little bit. So that's sort of something that you guys can do.
Can I jump in there too for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right where you have the cursor, or if you moved over where it says personal information there, right back up in the blue next to the forms and application. Yeah, right to the right, personal information. On the accepted students page, there is, or shortly will be, 2 videos that I recorded. One is about filling out the housing selection or the housing application, and one's about the roommates. But these are live, like in real time, that show you how the process unfolds. And it also, under personal information, it shows you a place where students can go to their personal profile. They can put their Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook information, add additional information of interest about them to help spark some of those conversations. And through there, that helps foster some of the conversation that they can then do right through Snapchat or social media or email, whatever they choose.
Great. Awesome. Um, what is the move-in date for freshmen? Do we have that yet, Al?
The move-in date is the 31st. I think that's the first day of classes. So it's actually it's the Friday prior to that.
Okay, great. And then orientation over the weekend, is that sort of what the
Right.
plan?
Yeah, and
Okay.
that will all that will be outlined in the letter we send in June.
Okay, great. Awesome. Um, so we have a question from a freshman that's coming in on the rowing team. You said that the coaches aren't responsible for making sure that women's rowers are matched up with women's rowers. And the coach mentioned she was going to put me with other rowing and someone from another sport. Yeah, so all of that, you can do it all. Just be in contact with your coach to this page right here, to the roommate room selection. And then you can get that information of the person that your coach might want you to room with. And then you can go ahead and fill in their name and then connect with them, right, Al?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's a perfect example of the confusion that sometimes happens. So
Mm-hmm.
that, yeah, it's important that you as a student, get that information and take the steps necessary.
Yep. Awesome. Al, what does parking look like for residents?
Well, freshmen aren't able to park in the lots around the campus. There's plenty of space in the parking ramp, which they certainly can buy a permit to do, to park in. So feel free to explore that. There is a cost to that. I'm not exactly sure what that permit cost is, but they can't park around the campus proper during business hours. At night and on the weekends, they can.
Right. Yeah, and the parking garage has tons of space, and it's easy to get to from the freshman dorms as well. You have to walk outside out of the tunnels a little bit, but yeah, there's plenty of spots there. Next question: can I live on campus all 4 years? Do juniors and seniors live on campus?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like guaranteed. So as long as you
Yep.
apply, you can stay on campus all 4 years.
Okay. Awesome. Good stuff. Let's see. How many freshman dorms? So there's two different buildings. Al, how many beds are in the freshman dorms?
Yeah, we'll have roughly 170 students in each hall.
Okay, great. Awesome. Cool. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up. If you have any last questions, feel free to reach out to Al here at housing@canisius.edu. Give him a call. And then also just from the admissions staff, thanks for coming out tonight and doing something here for us. I know we're all looking for stuff to do. So hope this was good for everybody. And if you need anything along the way, please reach out to your admissions counselors. We're here to help you and help you make this decision, this important decision and a fun decision. So, reach out to the admission staff and we are here to help you 100%. Al, you got anything?
I just thank everybody for their time. Stay healthy, and I look forward to interacting with you as we move forward.
Great. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for coming out. Thanks again to Al for taking the time here tonight, and go Griffs.
Go Griffs.